has come and gone, and we are officially in 2026. I asked over on my community tab if you guys would be interested in hearing a little like overview of my year of cosplay and also what I have planned for 2026. And a few of you guys seemed interested, so I thought I would start off the new year with a video just doing that. Now, unfortunately, as you can tell, this video is coming really late. I actually got super duper sick at the beginning of this year. And it was sitting in my throat so much that I could barely talk like a normal human. I sounded absolutely disgusting. So I was trying to push it off until I sounded completely normal again. So here we are, almost at the end of January, but I still thought I would share these things with you guys. If this is your first time seeing my face, hello, my name is Morgan. Over here on this channel, we make all things cosplay and crafty. If that sounds interesting to you and you would like to come and hang out with us, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button. With introductions out of the way, I am going ahead and take a look at my phone. I have written down everything that I think is important to talk about in regards to my 2025. And then after that, I'll go ahead and talk about some of my New Year's resolutions in the form of cosplay. I also have life stuff, which I'll be sharing over on my Patreon if you're interested. But I will talk about some of my cosplay New Year's resolutions as well. So let's get into what we did in 2025. So starting out with the number of cons that I went to in 2025, this is such an arbitrary number. It does not matter how many cons you do or do not go to. I just wanted to talk about how many I went to. In total, I went to 9 conventions throughout the span of the entire year. I always like to try and go to at least one new con every year, and I did end up hitting my goal about 3-fold this past year, which was really nice. I did not hit my goal of going to a new convention out of state. I always put that on the list every year, but it's not always reasonable. It's just like a nice thing like to check off if it does happen to happen. I did, however, still go to a con out of state, which was KatsuCon. I attended both SAC animes, the first one being in January, my very first convention of the year. I was able to start out as a guest at SAC Anime, which was absolutely amazing. It felt really full circle because that was the convention I first went to when I got into cosplay. It was my very first convention back in 2016, I believe. So at the time of recording this, 10 years ago, but when I attended 9 years ago. And it was really nice. I enjoyed my time. I met a lot of people who say you watch me, so hi. I know this is late, but thank you so much for coming and saying hello. Yeah, it was really great. And then after that, jumping back to going out of state, I actually went to KatsuCon for the second time ever, which was really fun. My friends and I rented out an Airbnb. There was a full house of us, which was really nice. I do eventually, when I do decide to go back to KatsuCon, eventually want to get a room in the Gaylord. But those are expensive and the competition for rooms is insane. So that is for a future endeavor. Definitely not this year. We have to skip KatsuCon this year. But yes. Speaking of my group of friends, I am actually part of a Black and Brown cosplay collective. We are all about spreading inclusivity in the cosplay sphere, and as a group, we actually were asked by the creators of Impound Comics to come and guest at their convention, VerseCon, in Sacramento, California. It is a local con for us, so we are able to come, and we have been to this convention in the past as guests, though it used to be called Comicverse. It is now just VerseCon, and always a blast every single time. I love seeing it grow each year. We are actually going to be guests again this year, coming at the end of January. So by the time this comes out, we will be guests. It'll be, I think, the week of. If I do that correctly. If not, it might be right. It might have already passed. Who knows? Moving on to the spring, a lot of the conventions that I typically go to in the spring, I had to pass on because I went to Hawaii. Ooh, my very first time in Hawaii, and I went with my family, my sisters, and my mom, and it was absolutely beautiful. I loved it there. I would love to go back sometime soon. It's probably not in my near future, but I absolutely dream of going back. The weather was absolutely fantastic. Because of my vacation in Hawaii, I was only able to attend one convention in May, which was Fanime in San Jose, California. I go there every year. It's amazing to see friends there. I do have a vlog coming out about that shortly. It'll be coming soon, I promise. I'm having trouble remembering what order the conventions were, and I did not write these down, so that is on me. But I also, in the summertime, was a guest at NovaCon. This convention, it was held in Brentwood. It was their first year, and they asked me to be their mascot, which was really, really cool. For those of you who don't know, sometimes conventions or companies will ask cosplayers to portray characters as mascots, and I was able to do that. It was really great. It was a one-day convention held at a park, but it was still really well put together. I really enjoyed it, and again, I love smaller conventions because I just loving to be able to see them continue to grow and continue to give them feedback so that they can grow. Moving along, I believe the next convention, this again is probably out of order, but I believe the next convention was Cappy X, which I was also a guest at, and again, another first year convention. I guess I was just really gung-ho for the first year conventions this year, but I do really, really love them. And when they asked me to come out and help them bring in some attendees, I cannot say no. It was, again, run very, very well. The organizers were super, super attentive. I had a really good time. I loved chatting with the people who were there and stopped at my table. Yeah, moving on, I went to SAC Anime again, but this time as an attendee for SAC Summer. This is like my local con. I did only go for one day, unfortunately, but I still had a really good time. My friends and I always have a ritual at SAC Anime on Saturdays where we go get sushi together. So we just had a large group out eating sushi, which is like our thing. Not much to say about that one because it was a one-day convention, but I had a blast like usual. It wasn't super, super hot this time. Usually SAC Anime is insanely hot, but if I remember correctly, it wasn't that bad. I don't know, I could be gaslighting myself, but I remember it not being that bad. And to close out the year, the way I started, I was also a guest at Fan Expo San Francisco, which is another 3-day convention, and you guessed it, San Francisco. This was an absolutely amazing experience. The coordinator was wonderful. I had an amazing time judging the cosplay contest, and I had a lot of people come up and say hi and say that they watched me on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or just online, which was so sweet of you guys. It's kind of surreal still when people come up and talk to me and be like, oh yeah, I saw you. It's insane. It's actually insane to me. But yeah, that is also a vlog that will be coming soon, I promise. I really enjoyed it because they put us like in the middle of the convention floor, so I got to do a lot of people watching, and there is also a cosplay display, so all of the guests, we got to bring our own cosplays to display, and I displayed the Queen of the Dam, and it was really nice to hear people talk about her and admire the costume. I put a lot of work into her, so it was really cool to be able to display her and have other people check her out. Moving on, we are going to talk about the cosplays that I made this year. I looked back and I made a total of 5 with 2 commissions for friends. So I guess a total of 7 cosplays. 5, however, were for myself. A majority of those being at the very beginning of the year because unfortunately, I got really, really sick throughout this year. If you're a patron, you would know I have discussed this in length, but I was suffering from really severe anemia, iron deficiency anemia, and I wasn't aware of it until it was at its worst point for me when I couldn't handle it. I knew that I felt bad, but I didn't know exactly what it was. Turns out I have chronic iron deficiency, and it was causing me to not have any energy to do anything. Just working my regular 9-to-5 job was the hardest thing in the world. Trying to motivate myself to stay on top of my house cleaning and taking care of myself was a lot. And so trying to do anything extra was also a struggle. I took quite a lot of breaks from social media. I took a lot of breaks from this channel, unfortunately. And I also took breaks from making costumes. But I think that it's okay. I have come to terms that I don't want to just be a machine that pumps out costumes all the time. I like the idea of making things more slowly and more intentionally, and making things that are going to be worn to last. I have had this ideology for a while, but I feel like I am really coming into it now, and I just want to make beautiful pieces of art that aren't rushed. So, spoilers, that is what will be happening going forward. But yeah, the 5 that I made, I am fairly happy with. I also ended up revisiting a few costumes that I made the year prior, and even costumes that I made at the beginning of 2025, I went and revisited. Like my samurai number 5, I ended up making some additions to that costume, and I love it a lot more than I did originally. I haven't said what costumes that I have made this year, so we'll go over those real quick. First one being Medusa from Soul Eater, and then around the same time, I also made Hagame from Fire Force, and then also around the same time, I made my samurai number 5. All 3 of those costumes, including the 2 commissions I made, were all done in the span of like 2 months because they were all for group cosplays that we had planned to wear to Katsucon. I pumped those babies out real quick. The first 2, Medusa and Hagame, are very, very comfortable, and I did not end up doing samurai number 5 like the way I wanted to originally, just because I was rushing so much trying to make so many costumes in such a short span of time. So I eventually went back and added to her, like I said, and there is a video to that. I will card it. I don't know what side it comes on. I think it's this side. I'll card it for you guys, so you can check it out if you want to. My 4th cosplay I did was for another group shoot with my friends for Darling in the Franxx. She had put in a poll out that she wanted to do a Darling in the Franxx photo shoot, and I have always wanted to do the Cluxosaur princess, and so I just threw her together with things that I had in my stash. I cut up an old pair of pleather leggings, and I made her shirt and her crown with scraps. I had an old white wig that I threw together, and I still think it came out pretty cool. A lot of people seem to like it just because it's kind of a unique costume, and I really enjoyed it, and I was able to check it off the list. Again, it was something super simple. It was just made from stuff that I had in my stash in my closet, so it wasn't really a full cosplay build, and it's nothing that I really documented. We froze our butts off in San Francisco, but I still think I was able to get some pretty cool shots, and it's a really unique costume, I think. Lastly, in October, I made a Demetress sister costume, which I also made a video for if you want to check that out. I had other plans for October. I love making horror conceptualized costumes or horror themed costumes. The Queen of the Damned was a like Halloween themed costume. I made her in October of 2023, and I have been like itching to make another horror character. I planned on making a Pinhead costume, which is one of my favorite series. The Hellbound Heart is one of my favorite horror novels, so I love Pinhead, and I have been planning it since 2024. I wanted to make it last year, but unfortunately, with my health, it fell through. So instead, I crunched out a Sister Demetress dress for my friend's photo shoot. Somehow found the energy to make it in a few days. Again, it wasn't like a super complicated build. I made it out of a bed sheet. I won't go into it, you can see the video. But that was a really fun shoot. I had fun with all of the girls. There was like one Lady Demetress and like 15 daughters, and it made no sense, but it was really fun. And again, I got some really nice photos of it, and I was really excited to at least do one like Halloween specific costume. But that was the very last costume that I did. Besides that, I ended up doing some upgrades on my Samurai number 5. And I started doing upgrades on my Fairy Kita Princess. Why did I say it like that? I ended up doing upgrades on my Princess Kita Fairy. I just completely dyslexified it and switched that whole thing around. I have been adding some beaded embroidery to the thighs, and I plan on changing the necklace, adding some beading to the top of the corset bodice, and adding her jewelry because she has an arm cuff and she has an anklet. So I do want to add those eventually. But I've been slowly working on it. I have found slowly adding things to cosplays is actually quite enjoyable for me. I don't know how they'll fare video-wise, but if you guys are interested in seeing more videos of me updating old costumes, please let me know. I would love to make those for you guys if you're interested. Moving on to my goals for 2026, I feel like they're a little bit more abstract and less like concise. I want to make this many blah 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 a year. I want to do blah 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 a year. I am trying to switch my goals to be more behavioral / mindset shifts. With this being my 10-year anniversary of cosplay, I really wanted to reflect on how I've been existing in the cosplay space and how cosplay has been for me the last 10 years. And I have come to a few conclusions. So my first goal of 2026 is to create costumes of designs that I actually am truly in love with, or take the concept of a character's design and make it to the point where I am in love with it, if that makes any sense. As I look back on my 10 years of cosplay, I have noticed that I obviously cosplay characters that I love, but I find that the making process for me isn't as enjoyable because a lot of the designs, especially for like anime characters, is incredibly simplified. For the purposes of animation, that's just how it needs to be. But there is just no detail. When I made the Queen of the Damned, I was foaming at the mouth at the amount of detail, and I love looking at the amount of detail in that costume. And I want to bring more of that into my making space and into my costumes. I have started to sway towards original designs of characters online, and even doing original designs of characters on my own, which is exciting. I experimented with my Fairy Kita, which again, I need to expand on. She was the very first one, but I feel like it opened my brain to be able to produce more complex and intricate designs. And I would like to explore that more. I already have a list of character designs that I would like to cosplay this year, and some of those are being pulled directly from media, but I'm no longer going to be afraid of embellishing upon the existing design for the fear of not being screen accurate. I don't care anymore. I have made it past that era of my life with cosplay. I want to add all the detail. The too much gene is taking over. My second resolution for 2026 is going to be focusing more on education. I mean this in a dual way. I want to focus on educating myself more, learning more about the cosplay community, learning more about cosplay competition scene, and learning more fabrication techniques that I can apply to my costumes. The second is education to the community. I absolutely love talking about cosplay and yapping and TED talking at people when it comes to cosplay. I actually ended up doing my very first solo panel at San Francisco Fan Expo, and though I do think that I can elaborate on it more, I did really enjoy it. I loved the people asking me questions and taking photos of my PowerPoint and taking any information that I was talking to them to be able to utilize for themselves in the future and in their creations. I have a panel planned with some friends coming up in the spring, which I'm really excited for. Fingers crossed we get in. But I want to continue to do that, so I plan on applying to more conventions as a panelist and include that as part of my convention routine, I guess, if that makes any sense. I also, of course, want to continue that over here. I have been a little bit scared to do more deeper dive videos because I feel like I am not well spoken enough to do them, but I am trying to face my fears, and I want to talk about more deeper and complex topics over here. In addition to crafting, I am very, very inspired by Lizard Lee and how they are able to combine their video doc and crafting into like these beautiful works of art, and I want to take that influence and kind of bring that here as well. So if there are any topics that you guys like me to talk about, if it is about cosplaying, or if you guys want to hear me talk about the breakdown of a specific media while I am making a cosplay from said media, I would absolutely love to do that. Please just let me know if this sounds interesting to you guys, because I also want to make content that is going to be helpful for you guys and entertaining for you guys. So any feedback, I would absolutely love. So my third resolution is to be better at building a community. I know that in the last handful of years, I have gotten swept up in the numbers game, which is really hard when you're online and you want to reach more people. It's so easy to see the numbers and get discouraged or think you're not good enough. But I've noticed that as the numbers grow, the community members have also dwindled. I want to grow a community. I want to focus on you guys and talking to you guys and getting feedback and really fostering a place that you guys enjoy and view as a safe space. So I'm trying really hard to not think about numbers. It is a little bit difficult to me because I do find like social media strategy like really interesting, and I have kind of pegged it as a special interest for myself. But I'm trying really hard to not make that the priority anymore. I just want to focus on talking to you guys more and being more present and being more present with you guys. With that being said, I really want to work on opening a Discord for you guys and for me so that we can all like chat together and work on cosplay and crafts together. I am terrible at Discord, but I'm doing my best to learn, so that will be coming in the near future, I promise. I will announce it probably in a future video as well as on the community page if you guys keep an eye out for that. Yeah. And last but not least, it does pertain a little bit to numbers, but I want to be better at sharing with you guys on here. This does connect to the last point a little bit. I always make it a goal of mine to post more long form content. I enjoy long form content more, and so I really want to focus on sharing more long form content, and somehow I just don't end up doing it. So I'm really trying to stick to this goal this year and share more with you guys. A lot more than I did last year, that is for sure. I have set myself one numerical goal that pertains to YouTube, and that is to post 12 videos or one per month. But I want to keep it at 12 because I don't want to pressure myself to have to make during a time when I don't feel up to making. Especially with the way that my health was going last year, I really don't want to force myself to do something I don't want to do. But if I'm able to make 2 videos in a month to make up for a month prior, or 2 videos a month and then I don't make a video the month after, I'm gonna count that as a win as long as I can hit 12. And again, life is life, and you never know how things are gonna go and how things are gonna change in the future. But I still want to keep it as a goal just to keep myself accountable, because I do really enjoy sharing my builds and sharing vlogs with you guys on this channel. Those are all of my 2026 goals. I kept it really, really short because I didn't want to overwhelm myself with too many goals. I do also have a list of cosplays that I want to focus on this year, but they are not a like set in stone, you have to make them this year. They are just the ones that I would like to focus on first out of the infinite list of cosplays that I want to make. So I don't really care how many cosplays I make. I really am just focused on making ones that I absolutely love. Thank you guys so much for making it this far and letting me talk at you guys about my past year and what I plan on doing in 2026. I would love to hear some of your guys' 2026 goals for anything, even if it's cosplay related or not. If you're willing to share, I would absolutely love to hear them down below. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Engagement really helps this channel grow, so I appreciate it oh so much. And if you want to stick around and see what else I get up to in 2026, and if I hold myself to my goals and actually do my goals, feel free to hop on that subscribe button. I'd love to have you in my corner of the internet. If you like this chatty video, please be sure to check out this one where I talk about why I decided never to cosplay Storm and what changed my mind. It is one of those videos that I was really scared to make, where I talked about a personal topic as well as showed you how I built the costume combined into one. It is one of the videos that I would like to continue to make, so please go over there, check it out, give me some notes, I would love that. And with that being said, thank you so much for joining me on this cosplay adventure, and I will check you guys in the next one. Bye!